after this year's Panthers team, if you weren't going to address the LTIR loophole, you can't ever address it because they were significantly over. From Frank Saravalli, who has just been schmurdering it with these breaking news pieces. The NHL and NHLPA are preparing to announce the framework of a new CBA on Friday ahead of the NHL draft, an unprecedented early extension. I think we all knew this was coming because of how casually people like Frank and Elliot Friedman were talking about the CBA. There was minimal panic about this, and we felt tipped off to it when Gary Bettman freaked out on TNT about the tax thing.
Yeah, you said that.
I was like, the CBA's done.
Yeah, you were like,
the CBA's done, and he's saying, don't
make us do work.
Don't make us go back and do it. Like, shut the fuck up. Yeah. Because if I get a call from Marty Walsh about this, and now we have to get back to work on this, and now it's, okay, well, we'll do this. If you give us this, then we're fucking back to square one. That freak out was all about the CBA. Biz, again, hashtag, Biz was right. The tax thing is a thing, but it's not that big a thing. But we have a CBA seemingly coming. And Sean, do you have the full screen? Here is from Frank's piece on Daily Faceoff, which I demand everybody check out. The bullet points. The NHL is going to move to an 84-game regular season starting in 2026-27. Preseason is going to be shortened. So 4 games will probably be played per team. That's per Frank. And players with 100-plus career games can only play in a maximum of 2 preseason games. 84 games. We'll go through these beat by beat in a second, but max contracts are reduced by 1 year. So if you're re-signing with your team, it's 7 years. It used to be 8, or it is 8. It'll be 6 years for free agents. It's 7 right now. This summer will be the last summer that can go down. So McDavid is a big person we talk about there. He can sign an 8-year deal, but starting next summer, no. The LTIR loophole will be closed as they do a bunch of stuff with the salary cap. There's going to be more stringent contractual limitations. Headline there, deferred salary will be outlawed. You saw that it's happened quite a bit. Frank Vetrano, famously the Shohei Ohtani of the NHL. Let's see, blah, blah. Yes. The revenue split is going to stay 50-50 between the owners and the players. There's going to be a big increase, maybe even double, of the playoff bonus pool fund. That's great. There's going to be a full-time emergency backup goalie. So that's kind of a bummer.
It's kind of lame.
No more fun EBUGs.
Yeah.
There's going to be like a traveling EBUG.
Yeah, I feel like it'll still be kind of cool.
Yeah, it's still going to be a guy that we don't really know about. And this is a fun one.
Wonder if it's a traveling EBUG or just like a
arena EBUG?
Determined arena.
Because that's what it is
EBUG.
now,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
There has to be one for both teams.
Yeah.
And no more dress codes for arriving and departing games. That's an interesting one.
That's a good one for us.
That's very good for
Amarillo.
us.
I don't know if I love it. Like, I don't truly
love it.
care about it at the end of the day, but like it's good for business for us.
I love it. And Lula Morello has to be pissed.
You can come back to us, Sean. My biggest one there is obviously the LTI loophole being closed is going to shorten our episodes to about 22 minutes in the postseason.
What happens to this Stanley Cup if there's no Evander Kane and no Matthew Tkachuk?
I mean,
Gotta take that favors the Florida Panthers.
It's not no Matthew Tkachuk. It's no Seth Jones. No Seth Jones.
Well, yeah, I guess.
Brad
Yes.
Marchand.
Like, I do not take this as crying, coping, or whatever. This whole show has been very factual about like what the Oilers did with Evander Kane, what the Panthers did. Like after this year's Panthers team, if you weren't going to address the LTIR loophole, you can't ever address it because they were significantly over. And just like heaping guys onto their roster, star players, and it worked amazingly. And I'll remind everybody, it was fucking legal.
Yeah.
So you can't really be mad at them. You can be mad that it needed to change.
Right.
But now it's changing.
I really don't care about it. Like it's never truly bothered me. Like when the Blackhawks did it, when the Lightning did it, when Vegas did it, when Florida did it. It doesn't fully bother me, but I am excited by the prospect of not having to fucking talk about it.
It bothered me that people who I didn't know, so that this is a me problem, but it bothered me that every time it happened, people acted like it was the first time it had happened.
Yeah.
And the Lightning was, I remember hammering that like the Blackhawks just did it when people were freaking out about the Lightning. And then people freaked out about the Golden Knights. And it was like, the Lightning just did it. Like you
do it.
And also like, the losing teams do it.
Yeah.
Granted, it seemingly is always the team that wins the cup that does it the most. Like the Lightning won the cup doing it the most. The Blackhawks won the cup doing it the most. Other teams, though, have done it. They just haven't won the Stanley Cup. Like the Oilers just did it.
Yeah.
They lost the Stanley Cup. The Panthers did it egregiously. They won the Stanley Cup, so we talk about that.
My thing is like fairness. As long as everybody's playing on the same playing field, and I've mentioned this before, like obviously it only mattered so much, especially for the Florida Panthers because they were a 3 seed, right? And they ended up third in their division. But like you do, in theory, have to sacrifice regular season games and then, again, in theory, make your path to the Stanley Cup harder. So it's not like it was just fucking free money. There was even if minor, a trade-off for it. But I agree. I'm glad it doesn't have to be a topic of conversation. That's the same thing with the tax thing. It's like I would like fix it just so we don't have to talk about it anymore.
They do need to do something about, I don't know if this will be in there, but I think there needs to be an Ekblad rule.
That if you take steroids?
Where if a player is suspended, you can't exceed the salary cap by that. You can't act like that player is injured. That player did something, broke a rule. The team shouldn't be fined for it or anything, but the team shouldn't be able to say, okay, well then here's Brad. That's where Brad Marchand's money will be.
Did Ekblad count towards the cap when suspended?
No. Ekblad, and he got suspended right after the deadline. So you could say that they didn't know, but a lot of people theorize the Panthers thought maybe they were going to be without a player for the rest of the regular season and said, maybe we might have some money to do this. So
I mean, if that is the case, though, the NHL needs to be better about how they operate their drug testing program. Like you can't give teams that kind of information and let them prepare for it like that.
Oh, maybe they just saw that he'd been taking steroids out in the open. They're like, they're popping him one of these days. Let's just trade for Brad Marchand.
Sam Bennett
walked without his shirt on.
So, yeah.
Sam Bennett had to walk into Zito's office being like, I have a feeling we're going to be without Aaron here for a little bit.
Because Sam Bennett was like, I've been secretly injecting Aaron Ekblad.
to get him off this fucking thing.
I think we're still skipping the most controversial one, and we'll get to that in a second, but what do we think of shortening the max contracts?
I think that's weird.
I think it's weird too because I want there to be more 8-year deals. I like there being 8-year deals. It definitely changes. And our dear friend Nikita Zadorov, I can't remember if he said this on the show or off the show. So if we're telling tales out of school, I apologize. It was on the show that he was like, when guys' entry-level deals expire and they get these like huge 8-year deals, the veterans are looking around like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, why'd they get all that fucking... Like, I've been busting my balls for X amount of years. So that... It's not going to be over. Guys are still going to get 7-year deals, but I liked the strategy in trying to figure out, do I go 8 years with this guy? Do I way overpay this guy for the next few years in hopes that in years 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, this thing's going to be a bargain? Like, I don't want the last Draisaitl contract. I don't want things like that to not happen anymore.
Yeah, but I mean, like from a player perspective, especially with the rising cap steadily year over year, like I do wonder if that was like an ask where it's just maybe you want these contracts to run out quicker because the cap will be growing and then you have a sooner opportunity to capitalize on that.
Absolutely is the reasoning. And I think that we are going to see more short-term deals. I think that the rumor is that Evan Bouchard's going to go like 4 years times 10. The rumor is that, I know that people disagree on this. I think Frank Saravalli has said like McDavid's going to be 8. Don't listen to the other stuff. But a lot of people, and I'm sorry if I put words in Frank's mouth, but I believe he was the one who reported that. A lot of people are saying like, shouldn't people follow the Austin Matthews model and go 3-4 years? Austin Matthews has been pointed to as the guy of like, here's how you do it if you want to fucking lose. But if you want to make money And we care about player empowerment.
For the Leafs.
Yeah, if you want to not win Stanley Cups and always make sure you're eating up as much possible from your team's cap. There's never a year on the Leafs cap where Austin Matthews is a bargain, and that's good strategy from him. That's making sure he makes as much money as he can, but that's going to be gone now if these are shorter term deals. So very, very interesting. I also want there to be more incentive for a player to stay with their own team. And
right.
I think Zach Phillips said this on the sheet, which is he wanted it to be, if you're re-signing, it's 8. If you're a free agent, it's 6. That, I think, gets more guys to stay with their own teams, especially guys as we embrace the kind of Yanni Gourde, Trent Frederick NHL, where the 8-year deals are going to be more for respectfully bad players than good
but
players.
offering 2 more years to stay is going to really hurt the drama of free agency. And
I don't think
we got a show to do, brother.
I think I would do that
maybe
for
that's
the
not
league.
the most important thing, but if you are trying to grow the league and generate buzz and interest, the more signings and things that you can have happening, I think it's a good thing to keep guys and keep players on teams and not have to force them to leave. But also, you want to be able to generate buzz.
Connor McDavid going to free agency would be so much better for the league than Connor McDavid staying in Edmonton. And I think, or not even, he could stay in Edmonton, but at least have the horse and pony show of him taking on suitors, whatever. I think the drama, honestly, kind of is the most important part of it. The league needs, I think, having exciting free agency cycles is good for the league.
The league seemingly is being tighter on what the cap is. And Jeff Merrick has said to take the training wheels off the cap, let the cap evolve as the league has evolved. But it seems that the league is staying with a hard cap. I have never been more in favor of that than I am right now, just given the past week, what we've seen in the NBA, who does not have a
fucking second.
The NBA does not have a hard cap. The NHL does have a hard cap. And during the NBA lockout, I had NBA people texting me being like, hey, explain the hard cap to me. Is it as simple as it looks? And I would just be like, if you have 30 seconds, I can explain the cap to you. It's so easy. Everybody kind of is playing by the same rules. And if you don't follow the NBA has a soft cap, and they basically just have thresholds above the cap where can't spend above this amount, like the NHL, except you can spend above that amount. But if you go above that amount, then you're limited in what you can do with your roster. And if you go above this other amount, what's it called, Pete?
Second apron.
The second apron, then you're
going to prison.
You are basically given the death penalty. You can't do anything, and they're doing it to avoid super teams. Players saying, hey, let's all go to the same team and we'll go in free agency and we'll sign. And basically what happened with LeBron and the Heatles. Here's the problem. As soon as this second apron thing started, a team, the Boston Celtics, just drafted really, really good players because they had a bunch of high draft picks from a trade they had made. And now they have to sell off all these pieces because they just have good players who are making the money that the CBA says they should be making. And it's such a headache. And think of it as, I don't know, the Avalanche or the Oilers or whatever, teams that just have good players because they have good players now suddenly would have to throw men overboard. I don't want that happening in the NHL.
No, I don't. I think you should need a finance degree or whatever to be able to understand how the cap works.
And I think that I've learned from following both of these sports pretty closely, there's not going to be a perfect situation in the cap. I think that you just make it as across the board for everybody as possible and make the goal, get the best players you can, make the money work, and if you can't make the money work, you will not be the first person to say, damn, sorry, Nazem Kadri, we're not going to re-sign you.
And then it ruins their franchise.
And then it absolutely ruins their franchise.
Only thing I will say, I 100% agree that how complicated the NBA salary cap structure is annoying, and I never want that, but I do think the effects of it are good. I think it ultimately is good to have players moving around and keeping that excitement. That's why Kevin Durant, part of why Kevin Durant has to leave. And the Suns signed Kevin Durant, and it didn't instantly make them the best team in the league. And I think there is, I think it is good to have players moving around and keeping things fresh, because it also makes dynasties far more impressive if you manage to pull it off.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like the NBA does shuffle chairs more.
No one does drama like the NBA.
Oh yeah, I mean NBA free agency, like July in the NBA is unbelievable. But as an NBA fan, when I see that, I'm usually not like, damn, I wish the NHL had this. I think sometimes I think,
no,
I wish they had a little more stuff like this. Like I liked when Stamkos was a free agent. I liked when
I don't want it to be as far as the NBA.
People were wondering like where PK Subban was going to get traded, things like that. But I don't want it to go that far.
Yeah, and I don't like the element of having to punish teams that have done it the right way and forcing them to break it up, because like when you talk about, as a sports fan, these certain eras where a team put together a really great team and sort of defined an era or defined a handful of years, like that's a benefit to the league, and people remember that, and it has like lasting impact and legacy. Like when you think about like the Detroit Red Wings and what they had for a long time, and like even when I think about the
granted that was pre-cap.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, you want to be able to have a structure in place that allows teams to have sustained success if they do it the right way.
Yeah,
and like even when I think about like the super team element of the NBA, and like the Golden State Warriors, for all intents and purposes, did it the right way. They drafted these players like a Steph, a Draymond, a Clay, and they were able to keep them together for a long period of time. And like, as a non-basketball diehard, when they had their runs of dominance, I was more interested in checking that out as a peripheral fan.
Yeah.
Because you want to be able to know what's going on with the team. You want to be able to recognize a core. And I don't think that that's bad for the sport.
Yes. That dynasty is not that dynasty until they sign Kevin Durant. So like,
no, it was. I mean, I think Durant put them over the top.
Yes,
and Durant went there because that already existed.
Yes, so that's what I was getting at. Like, I think there needs to be a balance. Like, it's somewhere in between. I don't think it is good for the league to have a Celtics situation necessarily. Although the Celtics are a little different because the players that they got rid of are players they acquired, not players they drafted. But like, I think the movement is good, but I also think, yes, there needs to be opportunities, especially for homegrown talent, to stay with their teams. I like you said, I'm not a CPA. I don't know exactly the details of the NBA structure. Like, it would make sense if like players you drafted did not count towards these aprons or whatever. Like I think there's a balance somewhere in between. But I do think ultimately, like the drama that the complicated cap structure in the NBA causes would be good for the NHL.
I mean, I want it. That's the thing. Like, I think ultimately I say just for now, until we can figure out something better, stay with the hard cap that is just essentially what it is now. But I do like the thing of, if they're your own guy, like if you drafted them, then you can exceed by whatever, or something like, I've brought this up before, Major League Soccer has designated players where you can have, what's that?
So just pay them whatever they want.
You have 3 players who make whatever you want to pay them, and then everybody else, you got a cap. You can't go above this. And I like the strategy element, though, of it, that like what Pete said made me think of this, which is like what Florida has right now. They can become a dynasty, but they don't just get to be one. They have to make the right decision within the cap, and they've got a perfect example right now. They would love to sign Sam Bennett, Brad Marchand, and Aaron Ekblad. If they do all 3 of those things, maybe in 2 years, they've won 2 more cups. But also maybe in 2 years, something has happened that makes it seem like this team has no more runway, and they're now backed up and jammed up with all these contracts. And you'd think, man, what could have been if they just freed up that money? Like, winning is hard.
Yeah.
And I want to feel like when someone wins, they did something genius that we didn't see. And so far we feel that way about Bill Zito. And with a cap, we're going to keep feeling that way if he keeps winning. Without one, it's just, we'll just keep spending. And take away our future first-round picks because we've exceeded this apron or whatever. That's not as fun. And it's more confusing. So I'd say good on the cap stuff for now. We reserve the right to change our mind. And then the big one, like I said, we're bearing the lead. People are going to feel some kind of way about an 84-game regular season. I don't love it, but I'm not as furious as I feel people have been. And I haven't seen reactions yet, but I bet people are going to hate it.
I don't think it's necessary, but I mean, like, you're shortening the preseason. It's 2 games. It doesn't really like make me feel all that strongly. I'm curious, like, how are you allocating those games? That to me is like the biggest question, and I've been banging this drum for a little while. I think the NHL needs to restructure the schedule to prioritize divisional games more, because they're in a place where they're prioritizing the divisions in the playoffs instead of the regular season, which I do not agree with. I think you need more games against divisional opponents, and you need to build up those rivalries and build up those sort of, just like kind of those division opponents. And so if you're adding 2 games, like, say that as a Bruins fan, if you're throwing 2 more games at me with the Leafs and the Montreal Canadiens, by all means, I'm for it.
That's a big, cool. Like, I don't feel like I'm going to get to game 84 and be like, oh, there were 2 more games there. I'm going to kind of, like, it's not going to mean anything to me. It will be annoying that, like, someone's going to set a new President's Trophy record, and they're going to be like, greatest team of all time, even though they have, like, the same points per game as the Bruins did, like, a couple years ago. Like, stuff like that always annoys me when schedules get changed, but otherwise, who cares?
Cody Cece's saying, what's the big deal?
Yes,
I play 84 games all the time.
Yes, we'll finally get like an 86-game season.
I love that. Only thing I worry about, as always, is the health of the players.
Was the like veteran preseason limit a thing before? No. I mean, I feel like that was kind of maybe like a self-imposed thing. Like, they ultimately weren't playing that much anyways. But I get why you have to do preseason, kind of.
But I mean, we're just talking about shifting games here. Yeah. Like, for me, like, if a player gets hurt in a game during the regular season, like game 1 of the regular season, because there's one less preseason game,
hockey games. Yeah.
Who's to say that they're not going to get hurt in the last preseason game or whatever it is?
My thing is, like, I don't really care about the games. I would rather them focus on, like, the structure, in the sense that, like, when things start. Like, I think the summer needs to be rehauled. I don't like.
I feel pretty good about where we ended this year.
Yes, I agree. I think it being earlier this year, but I hate it. Like, last year, the quick turnaround between cup, draft, free agency. Like, I don't like that.
Too much.
NBA suffered from that this year. The NBA finals ended in 3 days later.
Yeah.
Also, the draft was.
Why are we having day 1 of the draft on a fucking Thursday?
Do it on Wednesday, a Friday. Right? It was yesterday.
Or Wednesday, yes. Yeah. Do it on a Friday.
Yeah.
Per Elliot Friedman, the new CBA could create a permanent EBUG to practice and travel with their NHL team. I don't like the EBUG practicing with the team. I want the EBUG to really still feel like it's out of left field.
I want the players to feel like the EBUG is out of left field. I don't want them to know that guy.
Exactly. I want there to be some, like, who the fuck is in net.
Who the fuck is this guy?
Like, you're in the Stanley Cup final playing game 5 or 6.
I definitely don't like them traveling. I like there being a arena specific guy, and then all of a sudden somebody who is employed by the Toronto Maple Leafs and has Toronto Maple Leafs gear is all of a sudden playing against the Toronto Maple Leafs for the fucking Seattle Kraken and shutting the Maple Leafs out. Like, that's the kind of shit that I like.
Also, how much is EBUG getting paid if they're full time with the team and they're traveling?
I feel like it's backup or bullpen catcher energy.
Yeah. Interesting.
Is it? I have a number in mind, but
I want my EBUGs to be working a full-time job and then being an EBUG.
I want this to feel like winning the lottery. Like, I want this to feel like a fucking movie, like Mike or something, where all of a sudden they woke up one day and they were an NHL goalie, and like it's just a cool thing, not like this is their job.
Yeah, this one kind of stinks. I hate the
even though it's something that we see like 3 times every decade.
But that's why it's special.
But yeah, I know we'll never see it again.
NHL stands for No Fun League.
We all silly like the mayor.